Which government do we trust? Well, the answer is no government. That's the whole point of journalism. Welcome to Back to Facts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's get into this. I grew up at the height of the Cold War. And I can tell you that Russia has been the scary boogeyman, with good reason, for most of my lifetime. That is because when they were in the Soviet Union, they had an arms race with the United States, where they created all kinds of intercontinental ballistic missiles that could be fired from the Soviet Union to targets in anywhere in the world, especially in the United States. So obviously it was terrifying. Since the fall of the Soviet Union, we've watched Russia become a kleptocracy, if you will. It's pretty much gangster land, and it has been. It's very dangerous. Journalists have been killed, politicians have been killed, and they've had the same president the entire time. He switches back and forth between president and prime minister. Still, in 2011, I noticed Russia Today, which was funded by the Kremlin. Russia Today started covering the Western world. Couldn't help but think that this was some ominous plot to eventually destabilize our country and to take it over. Now, we can't completely abandon that idea. However, we must look at facts. We must look at what's actually true. 2016, Russia interfered in the election and rigged it for Donald Trump. Right? Well, we can't get any transparency or truth when it comes to the manipulation of our elections by our own officials. So how are we going to get transparency when it comes to manipulating our elections by Russians? Also, if you look back and re-examine the media that was coming out about this, you'll see that basically it's just more people, consultants or contractors, who are saying, just take our word for it. They're not providing the evidence. They're not using objective experts. At a certain point, you start wondering, which government do we trust? Well, the answer is no government. That's the whole point of journalism. So if you're getting your news fed to you from a press release by a government, you better be covering local crime. And even then, you should be checking what the police are saying. This is obvious. This is journalism 101. However, this is what our major media is doing on many topics, elections, as well as this recent war in Ukraine. I admit I was surprised by the Russian invasion. It just seemed so out of the blue. We didn't know what was going on. We do know that for years now, there have been paramilitary squads in eastern Ukraine, in the province of Donetsk and Luhansk, and they have been fighting Russian troops as well as separatists who don't want to be part of Ukraine. They have been fighting, and they've been fighting dirty. Many civilians have died, according to the UN High Command. The UN High Commissioner on Human Rights report many civilians have died due to improvised explosive devices and other weaponry being stored and kept in residential buildings and areas. In fact, we heard something about a maternity hospital being taken over by Russians, but I had just read a couple days ago in the UN report that the paramilitary, the Azov battalion, had taken over a maternity hospital. It turns out the hospital was already abandoned this time. Obviously, this is a mess. I don't condone any country invading another sovereign country. Institutions, sick illusion, no, it won't be televised. There are many ways to invade, and let me tell you, from what I have put together, all based on facts, the United States already invaded Ukraine. Shouldn't we know what our government is doing? They invaded them by giving them billions and billions of dollars in loan guarantees. Then the oligarchs, the ones who run Ukraine through their control of the resources and the businesses, appropriated those billions. Then we have the non-governmental organizations, the Open Societies Foundation. George Soros is heavily involved in Ukraine. There are hundreds of former US government officials who live and work in Ukraine. What are they doing? They're helping. But does Ukraine ever get any better? No. They have the lowest income per capita in Europe, except for Moldova, another Soviet republic right next to them. In the end, the Ukrainian and the Russian people are the ones who suffer. So now we have a proxy war going on, and make no mistake, it is a proxy war. Whether or not US-run laboratories in Ukraine are studying bioweapons or dangerous pathogens, the fact remains that the United States is crawling all over this country. Now, again, I don't trust Putin, but that's not the point. The point is, whether it's Iraq or Syria, we need to know if the pretext for our side in a war is false, then do we have blood on our hands, and what are we doing there? You can fight and invade with money as well as weapons and tanks.
Hopeless and broke like I'm nowhere on boats. I'm just trying to tell them all about the flood. I can feel it in my bones, I can feel it in my blood. Man, I came up out the mud, only God is my judge. I don't listen to these politicians, they the real thugs. Won't comply with the lies, they disguise it as science. They want you compliant, the media's bias. These corporate giants are capitalizing on us by dividing, but I'll keep on fighting. We will not comply with the institutions. Take illusion, no, it won't be televised. Welcome to the revolution. They're trying to